open it, and there he was with sadness written all over his face. I have something to tell you, he said. My heart started beating fast. I told him to go ahead. Then he held my hand and looked me deep in the eye and said, I love you, I really do, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. But I can't make you feel the way you want to feel. Ha! My head started spinning. As he realized he's not attracted to me, he must really think we are not sexually compatible. Does he want to end the marriage? What will my friends say? How will I start again? These were the thoughts I was thinking of when I heard him say something about his manhood. I immediately asked him to repeat what he said, as I wasn't sure I heard properly. He cleared his throat and said again, because I can't get it up. What? It felt as if a heavy rock had hit me. What do you mean by you can't get it up? I shouted. He quickly covered my mouth and went down on his knees, crying and begging me not to leave him. I looked at him, still in shock, and said, So, you mean you can't make me feel like a woman? You knew all along, Tade, yet you married me. I was devastated. It felt like my life was over. Me, a virgin. Will I remain a virgin till I die? How will I have my own children with this kind of man? How will I enjoy marital intercourse? So this is why he has been avoiding me and pretending all along. My God. So I stayed a virgin for nothing. Many thoughts came to my head that evening. As I tried to leave the room, he held on to me, still begging and crying, telling me God sent me to him for a reason and that I should help him, knowing we can get through this together. He said he would give me anything I wanted just to show me how desperate he was in keeping our marriage. I looked at him and asked, Well, can you put it in me? That was when he let go of my legs. I ran downstairs and went to the guest room, locked myself in and cried profusely. God, why did you do this to me? This was not what you promised me. How will I stay in this marriage? Do I start touching myself? God. The next morning, I realized I had slept on the floor where I was crying. I really hoped all that happened was just a bad dream and I had just woken up from it. But when I looked around, I was still in the guest bedroom. No, it wasn't a dream. This is my reality. I lay on the floor, gazing at the ceiling. Could this be my life? I have blood running through my veins. Body no be firewood. I need the touch of a man. After laying on the floor
Do
for
you think
hours, I finally stood up and checked my phone. There were about 30 missed calls and 10 notifications on WhatsApp, all from Tade. He kept saying he was sorry. What about my feelings? How do I move on from here? His apologies don't change the fact that he not only lied to and deceived me, but also he knew he couldn't make me feel like a woman, let alone impregnate me, yet he married me. I dragged myself up from the floor and walked to the bathroom. I needed to take a shower. How do I manage this? Who do I talk to? I don't think my sister will understand how I feel at this point. So Tade knew he had no manhood. He had no plans to fulfill his marital duties, yet he didn't talk to me about this problem even before we got married. No wonder he kept insisting that we see each other in public places. He never wanted me to notice anything odd. Of course, I am a Christian, so I wouldn't have engaged in premarital intercourse, but I would have at least noticed something, right? How do we go from here? He broke my trust in less than a week of marriage. God, why me? Will I ever know what it feels like to be a woman? Would I be able to have kids for this man? Those were the thoughts that filled my head that morning. I really didn't want to see Tade because I didn't know how to feel or how to deal with seeing him. The thought of seeing him really annoyed me. I was hoping he would have gone to work or at least gone out. That was when I heard the knock on the door. I froze. I knew it was Tade because there was no one else in the house besides the two of us. He knocked again and called my name. Ruth, please open the door. We need to talk, he shouted. I was angry. I really needed my space to figure things out and what I was going to do. God, please help me manage this. I prayed silently in my heart. I went closer to the door and asked him to give me some time as I had just gotten out of the shower. He asked if I was hungry and would like to come downstairs for breakfast as it was already 11 a.m. The thought of him asking if I had eaten breakfast really upset me. How can I eat after knowing that my husband will never be able to sleep with me? I told him I wasn't hungry and would really like my space. He told me he would be there when I come out as he had no plans of leaving the house, not with me locked in the guest bedroom. He left the door and I just sat there in silence crying. I woke up only to realize I had fallen asleep again. I immediately picked up my phone to see it was almost 5 p.m. I was really thirsty and also needed to eat something, so I quietly opened the room door, went out to the kitchen to grab something really quick, hoping he would not see me. But as soon as I closed the fridge and turned around to leave, I saw Tade standing by the kitchen door. He started to plead that we have a conversation if we're ever going to get past this. Get past this? I shouted. How do we get past this? He quickly rushed to hug me, but I pushed him away. God, help me. Help me handle this. I need your Holy Spirit, I prayed. He's still my husband and I ought to respect him, but this load you have given me is too much to carry. I immediately composed myself and told him not to touch me. He asked that we sit and talk, and I agreed. He started to apologize again, saying how sorry he was for hiding the truth from me, and how he was scared that if he had told me, I wouldn't have gone ahead and married him. Well, he was right. If I knew Tade couldn't make me feel like a woman, I wouldn't have looked at him twice. I asked him how long he had known of his problem, and he told me since he was 18 years of age. You mean you have known for 9 years and didn't think to prepare my mind even before our wedding night? Even on the wedding night and several days after, you still made me feel like I wasn't attractive enough and kept making different excuses, Tade. All the while, you were the problem. Well, we have not consummated this marriage, so it can be annulled because I can't imagine you deceived me and roped me into marrying you fully knowing the circumstances surrounding your inability to sleep with me or even impregnate me. I said to him, what will people say? What about the church? Do you want people to laugh at us? Tade said as tears rolled down his cheeks. We can make this work, please. By God's grace, let's try and make this work. I will do literally anything you want just to keep this between us. Please do not leave me, Ruth. I love you. I looked at him, and for the first time, I felt pity for him. But I have to think of myself too, I told him. I am a virgin, and I didn't wait this long to end up with a man who cannot sleep with me, let alone satisfy my sexual needs. I stood up to leave, left him seated on the couch, and went to the guest room. For days, I stayed in the guest bedroom and only came out when it was time to go to work or eat. I was not happy. I became a shadow of myself. Tade and I were living in the same house, but we are not sharing the same bed. This is not how a godly marriage should be. We would go to church and pretend to be one happy couple, only to get back home and live as strangers, living separate lives. I went on a 7-day fasting and prayer session to get clarity from God on what next to do and how to proceed with this matter because I was tired and needed a solution, even if it meant leaving this marriage. But the Holy Spirit kept asking me to be patient, so I was waiting even though I was growing tired already. One day, Uche, my friend from the university, called saying he was back in town and wanted us to hang out before he left for the States. When I saw his message, I was happy he reached out, but it felt like risky business because right now I am emotionally weak. Something kept telling me to ignore the message, which I did at first, but later I responded. I really needed a distraction, and seeing an old friend might just do it for me. Later that week, I met Uche at a restaurant. We had lunch and talked about old times. Hanging out with Uche was really fun, and for the first time in weeks, I laughed and had a good time. Uche and I started to talk more often, and I was beginning to enjoy chatting with him. I didn't tell him about my husband problem, but he knew I wasn't happy in my marriage. I knew that as a godly wife, keeping Uche too close could be risky, but my life was already chaotic and a little fun wouldn't hurt. A few days before he planned on leaving the country, Uche asked if we could have dinner. I was happy to go and asked him to pick me up at work, which he did. He took us to a fancy restaurant, and as I was about to step out of the vehicle, he held me back and asked if I was okay because I looked really sad. I looked at him and tears started to roll down my eyes. And before I could tell him how I felt, he wiped my tears and moved closer to my face and was about to kiss me. Please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so when I post the next episode, you will be among the first to watch. Thank you and remain blessed.